All right. I believe I'm live here. Here's the deal. I'm gonna pull up Facebook here, and hopefully some of you guys are gonna be in here chatting with me. You'll have some questions. I am gonna load my document here that we're gonna go over today into the group. I didn't want to upload it until I actually did a video on it because here's the deal. Having somebody handle your email can be very wonderful, can be freeing, right? But at the end of the day, it can also be very detrimental to you and your business. And we're going to talk about that first and foremost because it's the thing you guys need to hear, right? So leverage is great and leverage is fabulous. But if your email, if you think that there's a possibility that your admin might see something, and you're not prepped and ready to handle that conversation, or you don't like having conversations like that, then this is not for you. You are not to do this. So disclaimer, your admin will see all of the things all of the time, right? So if your significant other's pissed off and they send an email or they send a chat, if you've got, Gmail, and they're not thinking about the fact that an admin's probably in there, guess what? The admin's going to see it. They're going to know that you're fighting, right? Let's just say you send an email to somebody talking about your admin. They're probably going to see it. Okay. So I come on here, I give you the disclaimer because it is the number one thing that I have seen people do in their business. And it is the number one thing that has caused admin to roll out the business. So if we just aren't going to have coffee together and chat about that first, then there's no point in doing this. And so I tell you all that. I really want you to hear one more thing. The admin personality. The admin personality is fabulous. They are an SC personality, you guys. So at the end of the day, they will become somebody who wonders if they're doing a good job. And if they have access to the email, they will go searching to see if they're doing a good job. Period. I can tell you that I was an admin and I did it. And I feel pretty secure with myself. And I'm a DI. I know if I did it, I know others are going to do it. And so here's the deal. I want you to also understand that if you're not somebody who's going to give props and accolades on a regular basis, then this is also something I don't want you to do, because they will go looking for the accolades in your email. And if they search hard enough, they might find something. So disclaimers before we even get started. And I'm sorry. And hi, Rob. It's fun to see you here. So, okay, now let's get to the meat. Let's get to the things. I need to talk through that first because I've seen it blow up businesses. I don't want your business to blow up. I want you to be successful and I want you to leverage properly. Now, if you have a personal email and people know that they can email that, great. Most of us business owners have all of it together. I have like 50 emails rolling into one. So, that's how life goes. Okay. So let's get into the meat of what you're here for though, because it matters. So this is a document I'm going to upload in a little bit here. And the first thing that we're going to talk about, you guys, are folders in email, because I believe that that's the most important way that you can handle things. Now, my folders in my Matt Fedek email, because I just joined, I rolled my team into that team, are a lot cleaner because it's new. So we're going to come in here and check that out. But this is how I like people to actually handle their email. Now, if you are in Outlook, this style and what I'm going to teach you here works for that too. Notice there's a little period before my things, right? I want them up top and then all the other things that I'm going to have are below. So like my really important ones, if I was going to have an admin handle all of my email, they're at the top. The way to do that is putting a period in front of it. If you're in Gmail or Outlook, you can literally go in, you can just hit edit, just put a period. It brings them to the top. All right, so that's the first hack here. I want a clients folder, and then I want subfolders for every single client. Now, of course, if I'm an agent or an executive, I'm not going to be the one setting that up because we're not the organized ones. But if you've got an admin, then we can teach them how to set this up properly, right? And I want the name dash address. Same thing with property management. We've got Rob here. So, property management company, name dash, addresses, or, if there's LLCs, we can just use the LLC or whatever. There's got to be some organization around that like both of you guys know what it is, if that makes sense. So, we're going to subfolder those, right? Then you're going to have a completed or complete folder and a follow-up folder and a leads folder. Now, I truly believe that that's all you need. I don't think you need anything else. However, you can folder it up as much as you want, and you can get complicated, but if you have somebody watching your email and handling your email, this just seems to be the easiest way, in my opinion. All right, so folders, we already talked about clients, and then we've got subheadings, and I like the name dash address. It just keeps it clean. Complete, anything that the admin actually handles and doesn't think that the executive or the agent needs to go and handle, they can go right back in there. And then that way, the agent or the executive, right, whoever we're dealing with here, can go into that completed folder and see what happened, and then go into their sent folder and see what they said, so that they can coach or change something if they did something incorrectly, right? Again, you have to have a pretty good level of trust with this person if they're going to take it over, though. Follow up. Admin's going to move everything that they feel like doesn't have to be handled now, today, to the follow-up folder that it's something that they can handle later, or that they're unsure of, but it's like not an emergency thing, right? So what would go in there? Anything that like is considered like a project, or like if they get an email, say you get an email from Viral Marketing, right? Viral Marketing emails me all the time because I used to use them. And I've been talking to my admin, Sean, about, wanting to do an email newsletter again with video. He may, if he's looking at my email, move that to follow up so that we can then talk about it. Or he may decide, no, I'll go look for that later. I'm going to archive it, or I'm going to put it in completed or whatever, right? He's going to move it. Or he might unsubscribe me. That's a big piece to this, right? Unsubscribing people is very key. Okay, so, but if he puts it in follow-up, then there's a follow-up agenda, okay? And I want you guys to actually meet every single Friday. And every Friday, you're just going to go through the follow-up email. And here's the deal. I want you to do one of two things. So let me just go back in here. If you're in our consulting, or if you did consulting, or you're just in our world in some capacity, we can send you this, but this is a really easy thing to create yourself. So hopefully you're able to create it yourself. Hold on. We tend to tell everybody that we want like a project tracker. By the way, you can use CRMs for project tracking. Like you can very easily use Trello boards. You could use Monday.com. Brivity, if you're in real estate, has like a project tracker type thing. Or you can just use a spreadsheet. I'm okay with that. The two biggest things for this for me are by when's the due date, and paint done. What does it look like in the end? So if you've got follow-up things that go in there, I want on Friday for you guys to come to your project tracker and be like, okay, let's stick some stuff in there, right? So like, again, let's just use Viral, right? We would put the date that it was requested. We'd put by who. So we would say Sean, and then we would say Viral Marketing. If we decide it's something that we do want to actually move forward and do, I would say, hey, in the next 2 weeks, so by next 2 weeks from now, on Friday, let's have this done and let's have it up and running, right? What does the paint done look like? Well, Viral Marketing is video. So I'm going to need every single, video that I need to do for the month to be done and ready to go so that we're not wasting money. And so for me, paint done would mean I need to have all of my videos that are going to get kicked out to my sphere finished. Right. And I would then have another line item for my videos and a due by date and what that looks like. So paint done in that format would be, okay, well, what am I going to talk to about, or what am I going to talk about with everybody? And, what are my videos going to be about? It's going to be about being a buyer with multiple offer situations, or how to win in the multiple offer situation, or whatever the case may be, right? So you have to utilize something like this, a project tracker or a CRM, in order to push through and know what you're dealing with your follow-ups. You might be sitting here thinking, I wouldn't have that many follow-ups. Guess what? When we actually look at our emails, we have a million follow-ups. So here's another thing. This is another hack. If you are in Gmail, well, first of all, if you're in Outlook, bless your heart. Can you just move to Gmail? I will help you move everything because Outlook is dated. Gmail's really starting to kill it, and it's so much cheaper. You'll save money. So say I want to follow up on this. Hannah has a person that she thinks would be a really, really, rock star admin, right? So that's awesome. So I might want to follow up on that, right? So here's the deal. In Gmail now, you can actually come in here and you can hit add to tasks, which if you didn't know that this existed, know that it exists. I haven't used it in here yet. I use it in my Ciprani consulting one all the time. And I can add it to my task here, right? And then the email is actually there. So I can actually click on the email and see it, which is huge. This is one of my favorite things. You can have lists within here. You can create new tasks. You have due dates, details. So again, like this could work, and you can actually link the emails. Like you can get real crazy with your admin if you want, which is my preference, is that you'd be super organized and do something like this. Now, how would you open that? Down over here now, Google always has this on the right side. You would just come back here and boom, there's your task. And then to complete them, you just mark them complete. So, okay. If you have questions, just shoot them in there, and that way I can take a look at whatever your questions are. All right. So completed means they have fully completed them and, they're done, right? I think I already explained that because then I went into the follow-up. Let's go into leads. So any leads should be responded to right away, in my opinion, right? So in my humble opinion, that is the executive or the agent, if we're talking about, real estate here, they would handle that right away all the time. They're still in their email on a regular basis. Now, if it's sitting in there and it doesn't look like it's been read yet, right, then my preference would be that the admin would try to handle it in the manner that the agent or the executive has done that in the past. So in that case, they would go ahead and do that, and they would move it into the lead folder. And that way, every lead that we ever get is in a leads folder, so we can go back and revisit that, which is very important. And so again, every week on Friday, you're going to meet, you're going to go over all your leads, and you're going to send out another update or another, email to the lead, follow up in whatever capacity you can. But this is my way to do that. In my perfect world, you would add it into a CRM. You would follow it up there so that you don't miss out, or your admin would add it into the CRM. Again, we have to figure out what you're going to do there and what that looks like. What systems do you guys have? All right. So then you've got the directions, you guys, and the unsubscribe, I'm going to add that in there. Because I always think of that as like something that just goes without say. But you want to make sure that you unsubscribe from emails. Admin, you want to unsubscribe from things that we don't need anymore. If you're unsure, you put it into follow-up, and then you deal with that on Friday to see if it's something that they want to keep coming to them, right? Don't just unsubscribe from things like, Rob could really love the Gap, could love Gap clothes, right? Probably doesn't, but he could. And he might have specials and things coming to him in his email because he wants to buy some more Gap clothes, right? If that is the case, we don't want to unsubscribe from Gap because we want him to be able to get those. So we're going to put it in a follow-up. We're going to talk about it. And then we'll unsubscribe if he wants to unsubscribe, or we'll keep them coming in, right? All right. So my preference in this whole scenario thing is to have the admin checking 3 times a day. So I want them to check at 9 in the morning. That is, they can come in at 8, 8:30, whatever time, get their coffee, look at their email, start handling things. Then they would roll into your email at 9. This means executives or agents, you are going to want to handle anything that you feel like you need to handle and knock it out before 9 o'clock. That allows you to keep things in there that you feel like they can handle for you. And then, okay, they're going to kick it off my list here, which is really great. So 9 o'clock is the reason before that. I love that you love the gap. All right. And then 11:30 is the next one. It's because it's before lunch. Most people are going to do lunch 12 or 1. Email tends to slow down at that time, guys. So if we know that it's slowing down at that time, then we know that, we need to check it right before that. So you could do 11:30, you can do 11:45, whatever you want to do there. But my preference is 11:30. Okay. And then we're going to let the email ride for a couple hours, right? And I like it when they go in at 3 or 4 o'clock. My preference is 4 because it's an hour before 5, which most people end at 5. And a majority of the emails stop coming through right around 4 to 5 o'clock. Believe it or not, a lot of people start to check out, right? Hilarious. But they do. And so if I have somebody check at 4, I'm pretty good. And then anything that's coming in after that, I can check again. Listen, this isn't the end all be all. If you want somebody to check it at 4:30 or 4:45, fine. But allow them to work through their emails and all the things that they've got for the last hour is my preference. And not be in your email during that. You could probably take care of it from that point forward, or you can at least look at the things and go, okay, I'm going to mark that as unread so that they can handle it, the next day. There are lots of things that we don't have to handle right away. But obviously there are things, that we might need to handle, and you should handle them and then put them away, right? You can move stuff to follow up. You can move stuff to leads. You can move stuff to completed. You just archive it, right? But start to get in the habit of working the system with your admin. Don't be annoying and go through and leave everything in your inbox. Just move it, right? There's no reason why you can't do it too. That's one of the biggest things that I see people do is just not use their folder system. And then the admin's like, I don't know if somebody responded to this or not, right? So admin will go through, they'll move everything. And again, this way the agent can go back through and see what they did. And then they can on Friday or at the end of each day, you guys can have a conversation quickly around, hey, this is what I would have done with this email, or this is what I would have said with this email, or this is how I would have handled that, right? If you can actually do that every single day at the end of the day, you guys will be a better team moving forward. You could also have a personal folder up here, right? And all personal things can go into a personal folder automatically, and you can check the personal folder later. That's something that maybe I should write here so that everybody has that too. But again, I mean, for me, it's like, am I following up? So think about it, personal, this is an assistant. So personal email comes in, Steph wants to have dinner with Lindsay on Friday night. It would be fine for her to move that into follow-up, right? And then that way we can talk about it on Friday, right? Or they leave it in the inbox, right? Because it's it's a personal thing and I don't want to say yes or no. Or Lindsay's perfect world, the admin would take that, leave it in the inbox, and then stick an actual calendar invite on my calendar that says Steph dinner ? And then when I go into my email, I'll see that Steph has emailed me. I've already got a calendar invite for it. If I accept it, guess what that means? Yes, I want to go. Then my admin can go back into my email and they can email back to Steph and say, would love to do dinner on Friday night. Where do you want to do it? And get it all scheduled for me. Perfect, right? So again, the follow-up system and inbox system and everything, that's why I want to explain it, because you can really do this at a high level, guys. Again, it's okay for the admin and admin, if you're listening, send the calendar invite from your email with a question mark, Steph dinner ? Because then it comes into my inbox still, right? And I can see it and I can choose yes or no. And then you'll know how to respond to the email, right? And then as a really good admin, I would go back and I would respond for that person. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a chance to give me some feedback or send, give me some questions here because you're watching live, and that way I can answer them. And I'm sure people will have the same exact questions as you have, so type them out here. Yes, Susan, it would be really great. Listen, this group is for all people that we work with, and actually there's so many people missing from the group, so feel free to add people if we've worked with them, or even if we haven't and they would find this beneficial. We want to start doing a lot of this kind of stuff on a regular basis for all of you guys. So I see personality at the end of the day. They will wonder if they're doing a good job. They will search. Yes. Rob. Yeah. The SC person, that is my biggest disclaimer here, is that really they're going to be searching for kudos for themselves. Like, are they doing a good job? Have they said anything about me? Like, if they told somebody, oh, I can't believe you did it this way or whatever. And we're human. Sometimes we do stupid stuff like that. So hopefully this is helpful. I have no questions coming in as far as I'm concerned. People that are watching this later, Vince, when you watch this, if you're not here right now, oh, you are. All right. Admin responding on your behalf for logistical under contract properties and addendums. Okay, so I think you're asking me, how would the admin do that? I would just have them respond as me. I wouldn't even say, this is Lindsay for Vince. But you could totally, you could have your admin say, God, I'm blanking on your admin's name right now, but you could say, let's just say Lindsay's your admin. You could say, this is Lindsay on Vince's behalf at the end of that, but I would just have them answer as you. And if they say something weird or it's odd, then it just is what it is, and say, oh, my admin was trying to help me with my email. Sorry about that. If she feels weird about it, if Brianna feels weird about it, then Brianna can go ahead and she can put that, like Brianna from Vince's email. Just in case it's like a weird answer that maybe you've already answered and she's just unsure, but she wants to knock it out. That's how I would do that. And I would have her watch this video. I'm going to actually attach this video to this document too, so that people can come back and rewatch. Because I think the disclaimer is probably the biggest piece to this. But yeah, that's I would just have Brianna go for it. And like I said, if there's something weird, there are times when I've had people respond for me, and then I've had to I've had to go, hey, I'm so sorry about that. I had my admin responding for me. That's why that went out like that, right? Because I might have text messaged them or something like that. So Kayla says she's a huge fan of responding just as the Megan executive, unless yep. So, and I would say Kayla knows this more than almost anybody. So if people have questions, you can reach out to Kayla. She's also one of our consultants. And she has implemented this in many places, including Harlow's business. So yeah. All right. Well, listen, I'm gonna stop. That's, if you have questions, put them in there. And between Ryan and Kayla and I and Rebecca and Mike and Jake, we'll all respond. We would love to help you guys even more. And listen, this can get even more complicated, and you could put more rules. Like, feel free to take this document and add folders to it and explain your folders, right? The folders, in my opinion, are the key to this. But know that I also think that less is more. And I say that on a regular basis. We could do so many amazing things and make things real crazy, or we could make it like a lot less. And I do believe that sometimes when you make something simple, it is just so much more powerful. And this is the simple way to navigate your email and not have too many blunders or problems, and not have somebody being like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing. Since I have a few more seconds before my next appointment, I'm going to also tell you guys that you could very much go get Folio. So that is an extension. To get to extensions, you go to more tools and you go to extensions. So if you're on the Gmail system, and this works for property management too. You guys could very easily go get Folio. Folio will automatically sort your email into folders. It's like $40 a month per person, but I mean, for me to not have to create folders and for it to all just organize, and then it creates timelines for things, and you can apply timeline templates to your calendar and stuff. I mean, I love it. So that's another hack that would be very beneficial in the real estate world slash property management slash truly a lot of other places, in my opinion. So know that Folio is out there too that can auto sort things pretty easily. All right. Hopefully that helps. Thanks, guys. Put your questions in. I'll answer them. Bye.